Football is awesome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Roots. I'm your host, Justin Thomas. Super stoked to be doing this video today. Today I'm going to be highlighting and previewing tomorrow's January 11th Wildcard games. First, we're going to start with Texans Chargers. Then we're going to cover Ravens Steelers. So super excited to jump in and talk some football. So let's talk some ball. Let's start with the Texans Chargers. So obviously the 10-7 Houston Texans are going to be taking on the 11-6 Los Angeles Chargers. Super exciting matchup. Both teams are kind of growing in a new space. Chargers with a coach and Herbert. Texans kind of growing in from their from C.J. Stroud in his sophomore year. So it'll be awesome. It's going to be super pumped for this game. I don't think it'll be an amazing high-scoring game by any means, but I think it'll be still super awesome. Key storylines I can think of off the top of my head: CJ versus the Chargers defense. I know CJ has been so impressive, but that Chargers defense with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and the way CJ's been getting hit this year behind the line, that'll be a key storyline I think for how this game turns out. And of course the Chargers offense versus the Texans defense. Ultimately, Herbert, as we all know, has got a freaking cannon of an arm. So his high-powered passing game, against the Texans defense, which has been improving, especially in the secondary. But the Texans have overall, I'd say, a pretty damn good defense. D'Amico Ryans, obviously, being a former DC, they got them locked in over there. So super pumped for that. Special teams, I know the Chargers kicker Cameron Dicker has been inconsistent at best at a lot of times, but it could give the Texans an advantage, but I don't see a special teams affecting this game too much. Nothing super exciting that sticks out to me. A little fun fact, what's so interesting about this matchup too is these teams have never actually played a playoff game against each other, which I actually found surprising. They have played each other in the past, but they've never played a playoff game against each other. So, here at when it comes to the media, we love a first time matchup, especially in the postseason. So, super excited to kind of go into that. So, but let's start with the Houston Texans. Let's break them down. They had a 10-7 year this year. Let's talk about their defense first. I love their defense. I think their defense, they ended up having 19 interceptions this year, so they ended up being second in takeaways in terms of interceptions. So that's awesome. Their defense also was fourth most in sacks, against an opponent. So that's great for them. Once again, I think the Texans defense is really the thing that can keep them in this fight. But on the contrary, C.J. Stroud on the O-line, C.J. Stroud has the most pressures, the fourth most amount of pressures of any quarterback with 300 dropbacks. So that's a substantial number and something to definitely keep our eye on. Of course, on the Texans, C.J. Stroud's a big key player in this game. Definitely a promising sophomore. Got tons of chemistry with past Tank Dell, Nico Collins. He's got the weapons. I just think that O-line really needs to step it up. Joe Mixon, Joe Mixon, it still bothers me that the Bengals let Joe Mixon just walk. I mean, Joe Mixon I know he's a little older, but man, is he a dump truck, and he runs the ball so well. So super excited to see him. And then, of course, on the defensive side for the Texans, Will Anderson Jr., outside linebacker, man, he's just a rising star in his own, and he is just a dog on the field. So let's see if he's going to be able to disrupt Herbert's passing. Let's see if Mixon can continue to run strong and ultimately help CJ out in the pocket. So yeah, super excited about that. I really think the Texans' strengths are CJ Stroud and a very, very rapidly improving defense. I think their defense is getting better and better. Ultimately, in this matchup, this is going to be a hard game for the Texans, I think. They have an incredibly strong defensive line led by, Anderson and Grenard. So I think they're a good football team. They definitely deserve to be where they're at. I think they deserve to be where they're at. I don't think their seating's too high, too low. I think they're right where they should be, given that they did win the division, but we can argue about that till our face is blue. Weaknesses, that offensive line and that run defense has really struggled for the Texans, and that's my concern. Can they figure it out there and ultimately slow down this Chargers team. So let's jump into the Chargers. Who they're playing. The Chargers, come off an 11-6 here. 23.6 points per game puts them on the 11th. But exciting for them, the last 3 games they've scored 34 plus on their opponents. Now they didn't play the cream of the crop, but 34 plus in the last 3 games, they're on the move, and they're looks like they're feeling hot. So that could have a drastic impact to how this game goes. Not only that, that Chargers defense, number 1 in points allowed. Say it louder for the people in the back. Number 1 in points allowed. So listen, as impressive as the Texans have been in certain areas of their play, man, this is going to be a tough one for them. Kind of the key players for Chargers, I don't even know if I need to say it, but Justin Herbert's got an absolute cannon of an arm. He'll be so excited. He's always so exciting to watch. Can he be capable of those traditional explosive plays we're used to seeing Justin Herbert see? Ladd McConkey, wow, a reliable target for Herbert. Just kicking ass since he got out of Georgia, man. Just making his name known. He'll be a part of the Chargers organization for a long time, assuming he keeps this up. And his favorite target, Justin Herbert's favorite target, man, are they dynamic. Ladd McConkey has such a unique, if you watch his film, man, he's such a unique way of creating space that I just love. Not a lot of receivers have it. He reminds me a lot Puka Nacua that way. He has that way to create space, and he's kind of a smaller guy, but man, is he tough. So, and then of course on the other side of the ball for the Chargers, Derwin James, the safety, dynamic presence in the secondary. He's gonna really help them out a lot. I think what the biggest strengths for the Chargers are gonna be that high powered offense with Herbert and Ladd McConkey. Man, they're just, I think that I know that the Texans have a relatively decent secondary, and not only that, they were number 4, was it, in interceptions with a ton of interceptions in the secondary. So, that could give them trouble, but I mean, I don't know. The Chargers are pretty good, and if I had to put my money on it, I'm thinking the Chargers just come out on top on that side of the ball. So, once again, the strengths of the Chargers: high-powered offense with Justin Herbert and Ladd, and they have a wicked strong pass rush with Bosa and Khalil Mack. And I think, given the weaknesses of the Texans' offensive line, that could affect the game drastically. So something to look out for totally. Kind of the weaknesses of the Chargers. I had to kind of really think about the weaknesses of the Chargers when I sat down to make this video, because it's not that the Chargers don't have weaknesses. They definitely have weaknesses. Sometimes their defense can be inconsistent. Sometimes, some plays they'll make look like the number 1 defense in the history of football, and then other plays are like, what the hell was that? Sometimes inconsistent, but still a very solid group. They've had kicker reliability issues at times, but Dicker's doing okay. He's doing well. I don't think he's doing better or worse than anyone else would do. So, I'm just spitballing here, I'm trying to find issues with the Chargers, but still gonna be an awesome game. Key matchups for this game that I think: CJ Stroud versus the pass rushers Bosa and Mack. Man, Stroud needs to just avoid the pressure. He needs to stay away from it, make the most of any time his offensive line provides. So, quick release ball, checkdowns, whatever they need to do, they need to get the ball moving in the air a little bit, right? Mixon can't carry the team. Now, I think he can carry them a little bit, but with that Chargers defense, she just got to throw some balls, and I think that's a key matchup there. I think the Texans' run defense versus the Chargers' run game, that'll be exciting to see. I know the Houston's, had a shaky year when it comes to stopping the run, but I think they'll be really focused more on Justin Herbert. I think the Texans in this game are going to kind of give up the checkdowns and let Herbert play. I think they're really going to try and stop the run. With the Chargers, it's such a weird dynamic, because the Chargers can do both. But Harbaugh loves to run the football. So I think they're gonna allow the checkdowns, keep Justin, Herbert honest, and ultimately try and stop the run too from the Chargers. The Texans have their work cut out for them. Let's just say that. And then the third, kind of key matchup that I can think of in my brain is just Herbert versus the Texans secondary. The secondary led by Derek Stingley Jr., who's a monster of a player. And like I said, a lot of turnovers in that Texans defense that they've forced this year. So that could be interesting to see if Herbert maybe gets off kiltered a little bit, may throw some interceptions, but ultimately I just think that the Chargers are going to be one hell of a team for the Texans to put up with. The keys to victory, in my opinion, for the Texans is protect Shroud. Protect him. You got to protect him and establish a strong running game. Get Mixon, who's probably one of the best downhill runners I've seen. A lot of these running backs do the flashy thing, left, right jump. I get it. That's cool, and it works a lot. But I love how Mixon's downhill with his head, downhill with everything he does. So get Mixon running, protect C.J. Stroud, limit, and then of course on the defensive line, limit big plays from Herbert, Ladd, and Dobbins. You've got to if you can stop the big plays with the Chargers, yeah, you may end up in a dogfight, but it'll be a way closer game if you can stop the big plays. So, and then for the Chargers, disrupt Stroud's rhythm with a strong pass rush. Shouldn't be too hard. Sorry, I hate to say it. Texans O-line sucks. We all know it. I think D'Amico's addressed it in the media. They need help. And then, of course, get the ball to Ladd and other weapons while avoiding mistakes on special teams. That's it, right? Get the ball to Ladd McConkey. Get the ball to your best target. Let him do his work, whether it's a check down or a 100-yard pass. Get the ball to your weapons and let them do what a Harbaugh team does: yards after catch, play physical, all the good stuff. My prediction and my prediction for this game is I got Chargers 30-17 over the Texans. Despite a solid effort from Shroud and the Texans defense, I just think the Chargers offensive firepower plus the pass rush will likely just be too much for Houston. So I got Chargers over Texans 30-17. Let's move on. Ravens Steelers, probably the better game of the two. I assume that's why the Ravens Steelers one will be played a little bit later on. Wow, what a matchup. This is gonna be the game of the weekend for sure. Well, I guess there's some good games. I guess they're all good games. That's why we love football, baby. Super excited for all these games. But anyway, Ravens Steelers, Baltimore Ravens coming at 12-5 against the 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers in an awesome classic AFC North rivalry. Super stoked for that. Of course the Ravens are led by Lamar. And Steelers led by QB Russell Wilson. So key storylines for that game that have got me excited, probably Lamar versus the Steelers defense. That is going to be super exciting. Jackson's ability to avoid pressure while being tested by Pittsburgh's T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick. This is going to be an epic football game that I'm super excited to watch. Assuming the Steelers keep it honest. We're hoping, right? Steelers offense versus the Ravens pressure is also something I'm kind of keeping an eye out for. Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense need to find consistency against Baltimore's aggressive defense, especially with Roquan Smith. Excuse me. It's gonna be a great game, and I'm excited to see kind of how the Steelers offense adapts, because the last time they played it just wasn't that good, and it frankly was kind of disappointing. So the Steelers, but the first time the Steelers played the Ravens, they won. So they beat Baltimore week 11, 18-16. So we gotta see how that goes, and of course the rivalry intensity, AFC North, known for its physical, tough, smash mouth football, which I love. So super excited to do that. So let's break down a little bit of the team breakdown here. Baltimore Ravens, the kings of the AFC North, as they call them. They're right now, the Baltimore Ravens are actually on a 4-game winning streak, coming in, like I said, 12-5. They've held the last 4 opponents under 14 points, which is just absurd. I mean, and we all know the Baltimore Ravens, Harbaugh, they got that team dialed in. They're physical. They want to play hardball, and they want to smack you till you don't want to be smacked anymore. And not only that, the Ravens defense, against running backs, they've only allowed 3.5 yards per carry, which is number one in the NFL. 3.5 yards per carry, which is insane. Kind of the key players, I really see going into this game. Obviously, Lamar, dual threat. He excels with both his arm and his leg, and this year he is slinging that thing. Lamar this year, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 119.6 rate, which is first. Lamar won the passer rating crown this year. An amazing season. He's looking probably the best he ever has. My biggest complaint with Lamar, can he win in January? We need some wins in January, so looking forward to that. Other key players, Roquan Smith, super stoked to see Roquan. He's a playmaking linebacker who anchors that defense, and he hits hard and he runs fast. Super excited to see him play, and of course, how could I forget Derrick Henry, the Ravens all-star back. I mean, you don't even need to do a whole lot of Googling to know that when Derrick Henry hits 90 plus yards, they are 10-0. I hear that stat all the time, and I'm like, wow, 10-0 when he hits 90-plus yards. So, once again, Steelers, you got to stop Derrick Henry. You got to slow him down, right? Just something to look out for. Kind of the strengths, of the Ravens are just going to be Jackson's versatility, his strong defensive front. They stop the run, and you give Lamar Jackson more than 2 seconds in the pocket. I mean, later, you got to slow him down. You got to keep him in the pocket. Not only do you have to keep him in the pocket, you got to keep his receivers busy. Just a balanced offense really over there at the Ravens. So that's going to be tough for the Steelers to handle. Weaknesses, sometimes I feel like the Ravens have a really inconsistent receiving core. It's definitely some depth issues along the O-line sometimes. And not only that, this week Zay Flowers is doubtful with a sprained knee. Could change, but as of right now, he's listed as doubtful with a sprained knee. And I just think if the Ravens stick to what they know and they throw the football and they run the football as well, they have to do both. Because when the Ravens, I've seen the Ravens before, like last year in the championship game, sometimes the Ravens get behind or they freak out. They stop running the football. It's like, whoa, you're a Harbaugh team. Run the ball. Don't just ditch the run. You got to throw the football. So anyway, super excited for them. Let's jump over to the Steelers. The Steelers are interesting. They're finishing, the season on a 4-game losing streak, which is not a good sign. So we'll see kind of how that plays out for them. The Steelers are, 8th against the run in 2024, so pretty good. They have, T.J. Watt and what's the other guy? Highsmith. Just a solid defense all around. They're coming in, like I said, 10-7. Really, the key players for the Steelers are going to be Russell Wilson. Obviously, he has he's had a promising start to his career in Pittsburgh. Slowed down a lot. Still working on the consistency piece, but something I noted is that he's been under 220 passing yards the last 5 games, and that scares me a tad. Just a tad, nothing crazy, but a tad. Of course, T.J. Watt, he's going to be an impact player for the Steelers. Obviously we don't, DPOY, one of the best NFL top pass rushers, and I don't even need to say much about him. Dude, just a dog. Of course, George Pickens, key player for Pittsburgh's air attack. But man, I don't know if you guys watched that Bengals game. He's really struggled lately. Him and Russell Wilson's connection has really not been as strong as it has been. So it'll be interesting to see. But George Pickens, if he has a good game, he's still one of the best receivers in the NFL. He can rattle off some good shit. So super excited to see those. Strength of the Steelers, I think just TJ Watt. That's it, right? The dominance of TJ Watt, the dominance of that Mike Tomlin defense and their ability to create turnovers. I think the Steelers, kind of like the Ravens, I think they have a strong run game, not nearly as strong as Derrick Henry's run game, but they have a strong run game with Harris and Warren. They need to play defense. They need to be able to just run a little bit and get that chemistry with Russell and Pickens going, and I think Steelers have a shot any given Sunday, right? So, key matchup for this game, obviously Lamar versus the Steelers pass rush. Excuse me. Jackson needs to escape Watt's pressure. Get the ball out quick. At the same time, that D-line needs to keep him contained. They can't let him get outside the tackle. If he gets outside the tackle, that's just, gosh, you're going to have a long night as a Pittsburgh Steeler, just saying. Najee Harris versus the Ravens run defense, and Najee and Warren versus the Ravens run defense. Like I said, Ravens run defense is hot, and they are big, and they are physical. So the Steelers need to get Harris going to balance that offense and set up the play action. If they don't set up the play action, once again, going to be a long night. Russell Wilson versus the Ravens secondary. Russ must avoid big mistakes against this talented secondary led by Marlon Humphrey. You got to avoid mistakes. This is a game that if Russell Wilson makes a ton, there's no room for mistakes. This is it. This is playoffs. This is, no more bullshit football. You got to play your best football right now. And this is going to, and they won last time, 18-60. This is going to be a tough game though. And I think the Steelers have the tools. They just got to do it, right? Keys to victory for the Ravens. I'm thinking, use Lamar Jackson's versatility to control the game and force Wilson into mistakes. The keys to victory for the Ravens, for me, run the football. Keep running it. If you're losing, keep running it. Sprinkle in the pass, sprinkle in the play action. Don't do what you did last year and just abandon the run. It will fuck you over. So that's my key there. Just maintain balance on the Ravens side, and that seems to be Lamar's biggest problem in January, or in the postseason. You really focus on the balance of pass, run, and I think the Ravens will come out victorious. For the Steelers, protect Russell Wilson and find a way to get that running game going also. Russell needs the same thing. It's kind of the similar situation. You need to run the ball, get Harrison Warren the ball, get him going downhill, run downhill. They run a lot of side to side, and it bothers me. It pisses me off because I watch two talented running backs running left, right, run downhill. Give Russell a break. Don't put all that pressure on Russell. Whenever a quarterback feels that pressure, it just always boils over into something worse. Predictions. My prediction for this one, I got Ravens 24, Steelers 14. Despite the Pittsburgh strong defense, the Ravens are just too balanced with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and I just think he'll carry them to a victory in a hard fought rivalry game. I think it'll be close until half, but Ravens 24, Steelers 14. I think he'll end up taking over. I can't see a world where that doesn't happen. So I have that prediction, and then once again I got Chargers 30, Texans 17. So super excited to see those games and watch them. And I'll probably be posting a video tomorrow reacting to those games. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be pretty fun for us. Kind of an other news today to kind of close out this video. I just saw that Jalen Hurts got cleared for Sunday. The question is he going to be, I guess, cold, slow? Obviously coming off concussion protocol, there's very strict limitations as to what you can do in practice in the building. So how will that affect him? But I don't think it'll affect him too much. Once again, run the football with Saquon. Give Jalen some dink and dunks to start the game. Let him warm up. Let him get back into the swing of things. Excuse me. And I don't think the Eagles will have a problem against the Packers. The Packers are great. I'm a huge Jordan Love fan, but I just think if the Eagles have the pieces and the defense, they can do it right. So, also on the news today, Watson tore his Achilles again. So that's fucking crazy. Obviously that'll go down in history as the worst sports contract in history, but I mean, what do you even do? I think because they're in such cap hell, they might try and play him next year still. Obviously they're going to draft somebody. Hopefully there won't be anybody crazy available where they're at. I think they're at 6 right now. Maybe it's changed. I got to check, but who knows what that's. I feel bad for Stefanski and what he's going through over there. I think he's actually not a bad coach. I just think they gave him, a shit sandwich without the bread. I just think he's struggling over there. So, and then the final bit of news for today, I saw Ben Johnson, who is the top, quarterback candidate and probably this year, or coach candidate this year. I did see that he's interviewing, he's got a bunch of interviews coming up in, the next couple days. He's going Pats, Raiders, Bears, Jags. So super intriguing to see him interview with the Pats. I just don't see him landing there, but who knows? I really see the Raiders, Jags, and Bears more likely. It sounds like, though, the Raiders could be in and out with Vrabel, but also sounds like the Pats could be in and out with Vrabel. Ben Johnson's going to want to go somewhere with a quarterback, I assume, and with maybe a new GM or a GM he's comfortable with. I just don't see that being it could be the Raiders, I guess, if he kind of has a say in the GM, but Bears and Jags have that quarterback. Pats kind of do too, but I just don't know if I see it, and Drake May. But anyway, just super excited for the playoff games tomorrow. I can't wait to get watching and sit on the couch, and I'll definitely be posting a reaction video tomorrow to that. So as always, let's talk some football, and definitely like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends, and love ya. Bye.